Vladimir Ashkenazy, thanks so much for your time.
Pleasure.
When you're approaching a giant, such as Beethoven's Symphony No. 9, with just a baton in your hand, what do you think about? How do you prepare?
Prepare all your life, I suppose. You know, when you first hear it, think, what is that? An incredible piece. And when I began to conduct, I didn't know if I'd conduct that one or not. Then it came up, of course, I had to do it. First time wasn't that hot, but got used to it.
Now, you and the works of Beethoven have been musical friends for a long, long time.
Oh, yes.
The works of Beethoven helped build your reputation as a brilliant pianist. How has that relationship between you and Beethoven's music changed and been nurtured through the years?
It's very difficult to say, because it's so gradual. As you grow older, hopefully you understand more about our existence, therefore about the music that you're hearing and making. Very difficult to answer this question. You just don't know. You think about it all the time. You study it again, restudy it and everything, and hopefully you do some justice to it. That's all you can say.
If we can jump right back to Moscow in 1943, when you had your first piano lesson. What an extraordinary time to embark on a musical journey of a lifetime in the midst of war, when the world is at war and Moscow had already, and Russia had suffered so much. What was that like at that time?
What can I tell you? My family was evacuated for 2 years, from 41 till 43. I remember the German planes over Moscow with the crosses on them, in 41. We left, I think, in October, and they were just a few kilometers from Moscow. But unfortunately, they never got the city. Anyway, I came back in 43, and one night, I remember, as now, things of this type you remember forever, and you remember all the details. I was falling asleep in a tiny, tiny room. We had a 2x4 room in Moscow, and there was a little upright piano, 2 beds for my parents, me, and that was it. And other 4 families in the same apartment, 1 toilet, no bath. We had to go to public baths. Anyway, I remember falling asleep. My mother said, "Wouldn't you like to study some music?" Yes. "What instrument would you like to study?" "Piano," and I fell asleep. Because my father was a pianist, and of course I said piano. So the next day she took me to a piano teacher. That was it. And I had progressed terribly fast, so I became a pianist.
As you did develop as a pianist, growing up in Stalinist Russia, where it was dangerous for people, even for musicians, they had to be very careful about what they said, what they did.
Right. Right.
How much did the piano become a form of more free expression, where you couldn't do so with words?
But as a child, you wouldn't know that, because you don't know any other country. You think that's everything is fine. I loved music. That was everything for me. Never was aware of all the characteristics and problems of the system. I had no idea until you begin to really understand it little by little, little by little. By the time you're in the late teens, maybe you know something, what's happening around. And I also traveled a little bit. Many people, very few people traveled, because you had no foreign passports. You couldn't just go and leave the country. You had to apply for permission, and permission would never be given except for official visits or competition. I went to competitions. I was given a foreign passport with visas and everything, so I went. Came back, give passport away, and gave a local identity card. That's all. So what did I know? I knew nothing about the world. So I was very happy because I had a wonderful school, wonderful teachers. I couldn't care less what's happening, just as long as my music was there, and I was progressing very fast. So they sent me to foreign competitions because I was one of the most prominent young pupils, you know. So I was very happy. I left my country when I was 26. I have to accept that what I got, the education, the certain type of mentality, I hope the best part of it, I always will retain. But I learned so much in the West. From 26 to 74, it's a long time. So of course I'm Russian. I would never cancel what wonderful qualities of Russian mentality, Russian soul, so to speak, that I might possess. And I hope to nurture those for the rest of my life. But I learned so much in the West too. So I'm Russian, of course, but not a typical Russian. And it's very difficult to describe what I am by now. International person, of course, but the background you can't cancel. It's always there. And I'm honest and I say, yes, it is always there. I always take all the positive elements from that and nurture those. Could you mark pianissimo for 2 bars? And horns 306, please start very soft, and second oboe too.
Why did you make the transition, or at least broaden your role from being a pianist to also being a conductor?
My first unbelievable musical experience was when I first came to a symphony orchestra concert. I was already playing the piano and everything, even played some concerts, school concerts. Everybody said I was so prominent, everything. I said, oh, well, yes, fine. I couldn't care more about it. Then a friend of mine in the school, Moscow Central School of Music, his father played in the State Symphony Orchestra of Moscow in the second violins. He said, would you like to come to a concert, afternoon concert for young people? I said, yes, sure. And it was Tchaikovsky 5 or 6, I can't remember now. The first time I heard symphony orchestra in a concert, I was absolutely floored for the rest of my life. That was it. So after that, I spent all my free time going to concerts, orchestral concerts, not piano so much or anything. It didn't interest me. I never, ever even thought for a second that I would conduct. It wasn't important at all.
Did you dream about it when you were sitting in the audience?
No, absolutely not. I just was a part of it, enjoyed it, and when somebody suggested, maybe you like it so much, all this orchestral music from Beethoven to Tchaikovsky to Shostakovich, maybe you should conduct this. What for? I'm enjoying it as it is. Why should I conduct? But that's most important for me too. And I had a great collection of records. When I started going abroad, I brought suitcases full of LPs, basically orchestral music, because you couldn't get a lot of repertoire in Russia. So I became an object of envy from lots of people, conductors and others. They always would phone me and say, we hear you have that and that and that, could we borrow it? And the scores, I bought scores. I mean, suitcases of scores, that nobody else had it, only I had it. So that's what it was, you know. I never thought of conducting. It wasn't important. It was important for me to know all the great orchestral music. And I became a very successful pianist, you know. And then when I moved to London, I must tell you that my wife's father was a conductor, Icelandic, Johan Tryggvason, his name was. And he had a small, sort of semi-amateur orchestra in London. And one day he said, you love orchestral music so much. I said, yes, of course. But why don't you conduct? I said, I don't know how to conduct, and I don't care about it. Well, I teach you, he said. He sort of gave me a couple of lessons, which I couldn't understand anything what he told me. And I did Coriolan Overture, Beethoven, you know. So I get first note I got, I conducted it. I said, okay, I'll conduct. I can't conduct, but I'll do it.
What was your father-in-law like as a teacher?
He was very good, but I was a bad pupil. I didn't know what it is, downbeat, upbeat, whatever. I couldn't understand it. He should have explained it to me like ABC, but he thought I would understand, but I didn't. He did. Anyway, I conducted that concert. I think I conducted awfully. But And then I did also Haydn violin concerto. So I did the first half, and he conducted the second half in some big symphony, my father-in-law. And the chap who played the violin in the Haydn concerto, I just saw him a few months ago, again, after a long, long interval. And I said, remember that concert? He said, yes, was it awful? I said, no, but you know, in the Beethoven, there was something so good. I remember, so good. I said, no, really? He said, yes, yes. So I knew that there was something that you will conduct. I never knew that. Anyway, I thought I'll never conduct again. When I began to conduct, it was so scary because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to show this, how to do this. You know, there are millions of things that should be a part of your being, you know, automatic things. I didn't know how to do it, so I had to learn the most difficult way, you see. But once I got to a stage where I already could make music without worrying about what to do, that's unbelievable. That's just, you feel you're in paradise. There's nothing to compare with that feeling, and I can't describe it. You're making music.
Vladimir Ashkenazy, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.